Welcome, guys. And I got you guys a special guest today. I got former Arsenal player Kevin Campbell. And honestly, it's a pleasure to have you on the channel. I've spoken to you before on Sunny TV when we were doing the 89 watch along, and you were telling me everything. And I wore the famous JVC shirt just to bring back the
Make
nostalgia.
me feel at home, right? You
There
go, make
you
me
go.
feel at home.
There you go.
Yeah.
And I actually have a picture of you wearing one of the old JVC shirts. One second. It's right here, the yellow bruised banana. I think that was probably one of my favorite kits back in the days.
Yeah,
Right there.
that's a lot of fans' favorite kit. You know, at the beginning when the kit first came out, many people weren't sure about it, but as time went on, it became an iconic kit. So yeah,
There
lovely
you
kit.
go. People in the comment section, do me a favor, leave a question or whatever you have in the comment section for Kevin. As we go along, we'll address them. Everyone, I hope you guys are well. I haven't done a video in a while since the game. But first, let's get into it. How are you feeling about Arsenal right now? How are you feeling with everything going on? Because I know it's been ups and downs. I watch a lot of your stuff on the Hybrid Squad and everywhere else, and I kind of follow your opinions. And I just wanted to get your take on what's going on right now at Arsenal and how you feeling about the club.
Yeah, I like what I'm seeing. Obviously, after January, I wasn't sure because getting rid of Aubameyang and then not bringing a striker in, it was a lot of trust by Arteta on this group of players. So we needed to hit the ground running. And since then, we've won 3 games on the spin, 2 real tough games against Wolves. That's for sure. We had a good game against Brentford, and now we're moving on to Watford. So I think the group, you could see that the group are together, and the manager and everyone have to take credit for that. But we have a great opportunity to really go for that 4th spot, and even looked for Chelsea at 3rd. So I like what I'm seeing at the moment, and fingers crossed and pray and everything that it can continue.
There you go. And let me just ask you about your footballing journey, because I know you played for Arsenal and you played for many other clubs like Everton. But how did you first get into loving football? Because I always ask people who's their favorite team when they grew up and how did they first fall in love with football? So I know my story. It was the World Cup. It got me into football. I started watching France, and then that connected me to Arsenal. But what was your story?
Well, as a kid, uh, as a really young kid, in nappies, I was always with a football. My mum said all I done in the belly was kick, and having older brothers, you're gonna play football. So football's just been a part of my life since forever. My brothers are Arsenal fans, so I carried the suit on from young, and I was lucky enough to go to my first game in '77. I was 7 years old, and at Highbury, and I was obviously hooked ever since. Before that, because there weren't the games on TV, you used to listen to the games on the radio. So I've just been into football ever since I've been a kid.
There you go. We have an interesting question here from Terence Tibbs saying, Kevin, do you see the similarities between Arteta's approach to football and George Graham's with more the defensive side, I think, and how our defense has improved?
Yeah, I think Mikel Arteta and George Graham, when George Graham came to the club and when Mikel Arteta came to the club, there was a culture problem. Good players, but there was a culture problem. And you need to modern day football is a lot different to how it was back then, because the manager had ultimate control, you know, ripping players out, moving players on was a bit easier. Nowadays, where they're so well paid, etc., they could sit down, they don't need to move, etc. So it's a harder job now. But I see similarities. I think Mikel Arteta has to go some way to obviously equally what George Graham done. But I
100%.
definitely see some similarities in the way there are rules, the way there are regulations, and he wants everybody has to adhere to them. I think that's very important for the culture. And you could see the culture of the team coming together, and it bonds the team to the fan base, which is really important moving forward.
100%. So there were a lot of points that came out today, but two major talking points that everyone's talking about is raising the ticket prices at Arsenal at the games, raising the season ticket prices, and I just feel like with general inflation and everything that's going on, raising prices it is something that's going to happen, and it's been 8 years since the last time they raised price. So do you
So
think
it's due.
it
It's
just sounds like
due.
it's a normal thing? I'm not going to get outraged personally, but I feel like if we do get back to missing out on the Champions League and not signing players and doing things how we used to do it in the past, then there'll be more outrage. But at this moment in time, when we're spending the highest spenders in Europe and a team that is about to refurbish the stadium, it just kind of makes sense, in my opinion. What do you think about it?
Yeah, look, I think a raise in season ticket prices, etc., is long overdue. 8 years without it being raised. I mean that's fair play to everybody concerned that it didn't go up. But come on, guys, you could see the price of everything's going up right now. So, and it's not as if they're putting the prices up so the fan base could pay for the debt of the pandemic. It's gone up just enough to be right. And you know what? Going up for the first time in 8 years, should anybody really argue? People will always say something, but I think it's fair, to be honest. 4%
And also,
fair.
another thing that came out today, I'm not sure if you're aware, but apparently Swiss Rambo's report came out and his post showed that Arsenal made a loss of like over 100 million during this last 2-year period. So with that being said, it just comes hand to hand, I feel. Don't you agree?
Well, I don't think it's one thing. The raising of the season tickets won't eliminate the debt. That's the point I'm making. It's not as if they're relying on the fans to pay the debt or the losses. That's not what it's about. The Kroenkes and the club will absorb those losses. It's not as if we didn't have money to spend when you consider we were the highest spenders in the summer. So even though there's losses, they're moving in a certain way. And this summer's going to be really important, Igal. If I'm honest with you, it's going to be really important wherever we finish. Because we could feel that something's happening with this squad, although we're relying maybe a little bit too much on our younger players. It was nice to see the experienced players step up against Wolves. But moving forward, we're going to need more of a squad. So there's going to need more investment to come in. So although the season ticket prices are going up by 4%, we're going to expect the owner to obviously dip into the pocket and help Edu and Arteta, Mikel Arteta, go out into the transfer market and make some proper signings to give us a chance.
Let me ask you about the summer and the next summer a little bit for a second. Last summer, after we made the signings that we made, I felt a little underwhelmed. Did you feel the same way? And how do you feel about the signings now that you've seen them play? And personally, I feel like we've pretty much gone almost 6 for 6 with how good they've come out this season so far. So what do you think about last summer's signings?
Well, I wasn't. It's not that I was underwhelmed. I know fans like to go for the so-called names, don't they? The so-called names. We've done that, Iga. We've done that for the past 10 years before that. We've gone for certain names, and some have worked and some haven't, etc. I think the culture was the most important thing. Get the players in who are going to fight for the club and who are going to show themselves, who are going to buy into the culture. And as you say, you've been really impressed with the transfers. I mean, Martin Odegaard was at the club for the back end of last season. He comes in this season, and there were many were talking, we should have bought this one, we should have bought that one, spent 70-odd million pounds, etc. Martin Odegaard's come in, he's settled in, and he's doing great. Tomiyasu, all these guys, I think they've been excellent. So I think what we've got to do is take our time and trust in what they're doing. The players that they choose may not be your first choice.
Yeah.
But they are choosing the characters first, which I think is really important.
That's smart. Character analysis has been something that we've always questioned, I feel like, over the past couple of years. And that is a really good point that you bring up there. So now moving on to the summer targets, there's so many names that is coming in from striker positions. But first, we need to talk about a former striker in Arsenal, in Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, continuing to score goals at Barcelona. I don't feel like it was a mistake. I think, unfortunately, his time at Arsenal was done, and it was the right time to move on for both parties. It seemed to have worked out for both teams. But what is your take on this? And what do you think about certain side of the table saying it was a mistake to let Aubameyang go?
Yeah. Listen, you're always going to get that thrown at you when the striker leaves the club and then he starts scoring at Barcelona. But unfortunately, Aubameyang wasn't doing it for Arsenal. When he wasn't scoring, a lot of those same people who were saying, Aubameyang was a mistake, said getting rid of him, they were the ones who were saying get him out of the team. And we've done most of this season, we've done most of it without Aubameyang, or without a top
level
Aubameyang. So, Aubameyang struggled at times at Arsenal for maybe because his role was different. He needed to do other things. And at Barcelona, they're going to dominate the ball. They're going to do it. The league isn't as strong as the Premier League, that's for sure. So, fair play to Aubameyang. Listen, I've got no ill will against Aubameyang. I still think he's a super striker. Unfortunately, he couldn't commit to Arsenal. He was captain. He fell foul of the rules. Didn't commit to the team. So management, etc., worked it out, and he didn't commit to Arsenal, say, I can't wait to get back in the team, etc. That tells me a lot. So the best thing to do is move him on. If he's not happy under the regime, move him on, and we move forward. And we've moved forward as a club. Aubameyang's moved forward. Will he score goals? Of course he will. Of course he will score goals at Barcelona. But he wasn't scoring goals for us. And some of the chances he missed for Arsenal were not him. So, he's changed Arsenal for Barcelona, and he's doing okay. So I wish him well.
Okay. And just before we now move on to the strikers' incomings, there is some there's some strange shouts coming in for striker options. I've heard people say Haaland. I've heard people say today Lewandowski. I've heard people say Patrick Schick. I've heard Jonathan David, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, so many different names. But let me just ask you, who would you think is the perfect mold for Arsenal striker? And who do you think Arsenal might actually go for realistically?
I have no idea.
That's a hard question.
Miguel, I have no idea. I listen. The crazy thing is, I still think we need two strikers, because Eddie's going to go, Lacazette's going to go, Aubameyang's gone. We don't have a recognised striker at the football club of any note, so maybe we need two strikers.
Okay.
Are we going to get someone who can head the ball? Because we really have lacked someone who can head it in the goal. If we get somebody of size who could head it in as well, then we're in business. But we also need somebody who can do a little bit of the work like Lacazette does, because Lacazette is instrumental to the way we play. Isaac from Sociedad is a good player. Look, we're going to get linked to so many different strikers. If we could get Haaland, you would try and get Haaland, but I think his mentality and his agent's mentality will be out of our remit for now. So he'll probably go somewhere. The recognized boys at the top. You know what I'm talking about. Those sort of clubs. Obviously, if Martin Odegaard could have a word, we'd take him.
Lewandowski,
Lewandowski. Listen. He's not a spring chicken, but one thing he is, he's fit and he can score goals. I don't know, because you know what? Whenever players like this become available in the summer, Miguel, there are a lot of takers for them.
But let's talk about the story for a second. The story says 400K a week is what we would have to pay him. And there's also suitors like PSG and Real Madrid after him. So in my opinion, I don't know if Lewandowski would come to Arsenal, and I don't think we'd be his first choice at all. But if you go down the pecking order, I think 400K for Lewandowski when we are trying to do a rebuild, and he won't guarantee us winning right away. He'll raise the level of the attack, but he doesn't guarantee us longevity either. No. Is it a better move for us as a club that we're currently in the state that we're in to go for more of a long-term project and continue with that method? Or I feel like we're going back to another Aubameyang with Lewandowski if it doesn't work out.
Well, listen, we're talking about it like he's coming. At the end of the day, if we're going to be playing European football, it could be Champions League. You're going to need a recognised striker, someone who, I mean, the amount of goals this guy scored, how he wasn't really at the top end of that Ballon d'Or, I don't know, because he's scored, he's broke records left, right, and centre. Lewandowski. Look, if it's 400k, that's because there's no transfer fee. If there's no transfer fee, then you could pay him 400,000, no problem. And he may not be the long term, but that's why I reckon you need two strikers. If you could bring a striker in for the longer term as well, but you need someone who is right there, world class. He's world class. He is world class striker. He might be getting on a bit, but his all-round game
is world class.
He's world class, and it's suited to what we do. He can get hold of the ball, he can head the ball, he can score multiple goals, he can run over the top, he can link play. So who knows what's going to happen, but we are going to get linked to everybody because we have a serious need at the top end of the pitch.
Let me just say this. We are also linked to Patrick Schick, but before we do that, big up to Guapo for the super chat saying, big up Egal, my boy, and Kevin Campbell, great show, lads. Thank you so much, Guapo. And big up to all the support in the comment section. Guys, let me know who you think your ideal striker option is. There's just some names here. Patrick Schick has been linked to us the other day. I have concerns over him playing for 3 different teams in a matter of 3 years. Should I be concerned of that as being a former professional? Is that something that we should be concerned about?
No, you shouldn't be concerned. Sometimes this is just how the things work out. But, if he's going to come to a team like Arsenal, it's not as if Arsenal signed him, it's not as if to say Arsenal going to get rid of him after a year. No chance. He's a useful player. He's young and he's a good player and he can score goals. He can score goals. So I don't know whether he is top of the list, but he could be one of 2 who comes in, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. There's one thing that we've been talking about a lot on this channel and every single channel when it comes to Arsenal, and it is that top 4. The top 4 has been a discussion of conversation for everyone. I will tell you right now, Kevin, I currently believe that Arsenal are favorites to get top 4 mathematically with games in hand and everything else. And the form that we're on, I think we can do it. But I want to know, what do you think?
I don't think we're favorites. I think solely because of the squad. If we get a couple of key injuries, Igal, we're in trouble. Whereas likes of some of the other teams have stronger squads than us who probably could absorb the injuries, if I'm honest with you. The key to it is we don't have European football. We go in kind of long stretches, week to week, 8 days, whatever, so we can prepare, we can rest, we can do all those things. So there's no excuses for this team. Do we have a great chance? Yes, we do. Are we favourites? I know we have games in hand, but the games in hand are against some of the top teams. The key for us is we've got to keep this winning run going. Keep it going as long as possible. 4, 5, 6 games winning, and then that will put a lot of pressure on the likes of Manchester United and Spurs, who you've seen, West Ham. We play all 3 of those teams. We play Manchester United, we play Spurs, and we play West Ham. So maybe it's going to come down to those games in the end, Igal. But while these teams are going to have tough games, we have to capitalize. We haven't been great at it from the past, but in this season, we seem to be doing a lot better when the pressure's on us to win. So fingers crossed.
Hypothetically, we do get top 4 and we don't get top 4. Either way, Arsenal is set to offer Mikel Arteta a new contract. Thoughts on that? Because of course, I personally think he's going to get the contract regardless, because as a player coming in to Arsenal Football Club in the summer, you're going to want to know that your manager has some security long term, because you don't want to sign for a club if you don't know what direction the manager is going in.
Yeah, listen, I agree. I think Mikel Arteta will get a new contract, and because look, let's be honest, if Arsenal decide to sack him, the contract doesn't matter. They'll just sack him. So, for I know there's Arteta in, Arteta out, etc. Some people still ain't convinced, etc., which is understandable. Everyone's opinion's fine. But I just think the work that he's doing, the culture that the club's going under now, you can see the connection with the players, the fans, everybody's together. I think he's gonna sign a new contract whenever it is between now and the end of the season or whenever, sign a new contract. And if they need to change him for whatever reason, they can.
Yeah, I just want to say RIP to my guy Shocks. You guys already know he would have loved this show right now with you and me and Kevin on the same show. Appreciate my guy. And then AK is coming in saying, we have a chance to get top four. Let's be quiet about our business. Don't mind being the underdogs in the race. I agree. We don't mind being the underdogs, but
That's the best spot.
There you go.
We go quietly, as AK said. We go nice and quietly. We don't rattle any cages, and we just get on with it.
There you go. And it goes to show you the good factor and everything going around at Arsenal right now. But with the young players that we have, Emil Smith-Rowe just coming back from training, Bukayo Saka, Gabriel Martinelli, not Granit Xhaka, Odegaard and Ramsdale and Tierney and Ben White. It just seems like the whole team is going to be growing at the same pace. How do you feel about having such a young team? And certain names that I picked out, what's your opinions on them? Because of course we love them all.
Yeah, look, I think you've got to say it's a good job done by the manager. You know, when we look at what he inherited when he came in to what the team is now, there's been some serious refurbishment gone on in this squad. You know, a lot of the so-called big names are no longer there. We got players now who fight for the badge, and I think that's really important at Arsenal to have players who fight for the badge first, willing to fight. That's why I think that Wolves game and result was so important. Now we're seeing the likes of Pepe make a difference coming off the bench. Eddie making a difference coming off the bench. Whereas maybe we didn't see that in the past. This, for us right now, this is huge for us moving forward.
Do you start Pepe?
I don't think Pepe will start. I don't think he will start. I think him coming off the bench made a big difference. But when you consider Martinelli, Smith-Rowe, Saka, I don't think Pepe starts. I think Pepe comes off the bench and makes an impact. If he can do that for us, great. There will be times where maybe Pepe needs to start, but I think because of Smith-Rowe not being around, that's what got Pepe onto the pitch maybe a touch quicker than if Smith-Rowe was fit. So...
Okay, let's talk about the rest of the team then. On the other side, you have Emil Smith-Rowe and Martinelli. Do you feel like that's their natural positions? Because I feel like Emil Smith-Rowe naturally will become a midfielder as he gets older, and I feel like Martinelli will naturally become a striker as he gets older. At the moment, they're playing on that left side, but it's kind of like a Paul Scholes or like a Van Persie just playing on that side at the moment.
No, Martinelli he's played there most of his career, so. I think he will transition into a number 9 in the end. Definitely. But I think he's more comfortable being out there, being able to run free. In the middle, there is a lot of traffic and a lot of big bodies. You know, a lot of big bodies in there that you have to take out, a lot of hits in there, and it really can slow you down. So I think Smith-Rowe being a midfielder, but he's an attacking midfielder as well. I think he probably gets a lot more joy playing on the left-hand side where we can come off the line and receive balls, similar to his goal against Brentford where he picks it up and he drives, can cut in between two players, whereas if he's picking it up a bit deeper, it's a lot more difficult because you engage with another midfielder quicker. So I think you're right with Martinelli, but I think Smith-Rowe can do both roles. Well, he can play 3 positions, can't he, Smith-Rowe?
Yeah,
so
he can play everywhere.
Fingers crossed. He's just a good player. You know what I mean? He's just a good player. So we need him. We need all of our youngsters to be performing. We're putting a lot of pressure on them, Miguel. It's a lot of pressure on their young shoulders, but they're living up to it, which is great.
100%. And guys, do me a favor, hit that like button. Show some love to my guy Kevin Campbell for coming on. Really do appreciate it. We're not done yet. There's some quick fire questions here. What do you think about who should be sold in the summer? Because Granit Xhaka is somebody I would think about selling, even though he's been one of our best midfielders this season. I think you can still find an upgrade on him, and he is getting a little bit older. His price has never been this high at Arsenal, in my opinion. He's looking really good, and it allows us to then go into the summer and realize, do we want to play Partey as an 8, or do you want to play him as a 6 based on who we bring in? And the next question is, I'm hearing names about Gnabry coming in or other wingers coming in. So does that mean Pepe is leaving? Or what does that mean for you?
No, listen, you could never have enough quality players. Never have enough quality players. I think the Granit Xhaka to Roma transfer has been raging since last summer, hasn't it? You know, Mourinho has been coveting him, and there was signs that he was going to go, and then they wouldn't pay the money, etc. So, look, Granit Xhaka has been good. Yeah, he has. But if he was to go, I don't think there will be any fanfare for him. I think we do need an upgrade. We probably need another midfielder who can score goals. We've been linked to Tielemans. We've been linked to Basuma. We've been linked to quite a few midfielders. Neves. We can get upgrades. That's for sure. Xhaka's a good player, but we can get better. And
can you think of any off the top of your head?
I've just mentioned them. I've just mentioned Basuma, Tielemans. They're better than Granit Xhaka.
But the thing about Basuma and Tielemans, in my opinion, they're not like, one is more defensive, one is more attacking, but I feel like we need a combination of both. We need somebody who can do both.
Basuma can do both. Neves can do both. Tielemans could do both.
You think Tielemans is not a
Tielemans has done it for Leicester. You can't tell. Did you not see the FA Cup final last year?
I did, Kevin.
Tielemans. Listen, our problem is
about him personally. Defensively, I have the most questions about him because I watched the Spurs game where he lost him that game in the last minute.
Yeah, but you just said it's whether we play Partey as an 8 or a 6. If we're going to play him as a 6, have you noticed Granit Xhaka's playing a little bit further forward now?
Yes.
Well, that's where Tielemans will play. And Tielemans gives us more of a goal threat than Granit Xhaka does. Because Xhaka can score goals from distance, but we don't get enough goals from midfield. So it's either whoever you get, we can dovetail Partey. So if Basuma comes in, maybe we could play Partey a little bit further forward. Or at times we could play Partey and Basuma beside each other with a 10 in front of them. We get Tielemans or somebody like that, we can play Partey as the 6 and those guys play a little bit further forward. So we've got to be flexible. That's
How about these names? Fabian Ruiz, Calvin Phillips, James Ward-Prowse, all midfielders I rate and I think would be really good shouts.
I would take any one of them because they're all good players. You know, at the end of the day, we get linked to so many players. It's just a matter of who we can get. That's the key.
100%. And finally, the defense. How impressed have you been with our defense? And do you think next season, some people are saying upgrade on tomiyasu, get another right back in, or do something else, just try to sort out that defense a little bit more? Or do you feel like tomiyasu could be part of a title winning side as the main starting right back?
Well, the first thing for a defender is to be able to defend, and that's one thing tomiyasu can do. You know, we've got all the flair players and all the quality going forward. And obviously we need a striker or a couple of strikers, that's for sure. But look at all the clean sheets we've kept.
100%.
You know, tomiyasu's been a key spot. We're what in the top 3, top 4 defenses in the league. And that's with a defense that's just been put together since, when was it? Since the summer. So even after the summer. So, you know, this is good players. Talking about upgrade, a lot of these people want these fullbacks to be attacking, but they can't defend. That's been our problem with the likes of Bellerin, etc. They're good going forward or better going forward, but they can't defend. Number one is defend. Keep a clean sheet, then we have a much better chance of getting somewhere. So I think this defense will get better. I think bringing Saliba back as well next season might see us change to a 3 at the back certain times. Certain games we could play 3, and we could play maybe 5 or 4, 5, 3-5-2, 3-4-3. We could play a different system sometimes in certain games, and we'll have 3 proper defenders back there. We'll have 2 fullbacks who are the wing backs, who are athletic, can get up and down, who can defend as well. So that can make us even stronger.
Okay. And finally, since we're almost wrapping up, what is your take on the next game versus Watford away?
Well, it's another must-win game, isn't it? We've seen what Watford went and done to Manchester United. Manchester United should have won the game, couldn't take their chances. I thought Watford performed pretty well, to be honest. But this game is away, but it's in London. It's a derby, and we have to take it. We have to be more desperate for the points than them, Miguel. And if we are, I think we can take the 3 points. That's for sure.
There you go. Thank you, Kevin, for coming on. Honestly, really do appreciate it. Big up to every single one of you guys watching. There were some more questions, but of course, I think Kevin's got to go. So thank you so much for coming on. I really
What questions? Come on, let's ask a couple more. Go on.
We got one guy said he doesn't rate Calvin Phillips, but what do you think on Calvin Phillips?
Very good player. Hey, listen, if you don't rate Calvin Phillips, that's fine. But, for somebody who don't rate him, he goes into the England team and he improved it. So he's a very good player. Maybe an opportunity, maybe to prize him away from Leeds right now, because obviously they've just changed their manager. So we'll see in the summer. But I'm sure if he became available, there would be a lot of teams interested in acquiring
Kevin,
him.
do you think Arsenal have an advantage in the transfer window against other teams since we've already cleared out our deadwood and already reduced our salary?
Not necessarily. I think against other top teams, it's just a matter of you negotiating with the player and seeing if you could, seduce the player to come to your club. Because, a lot of the top clubs out there, they all want the same players, don't they? They all want the same players, Miguel. So I would like to think, now that we've cleared our decks, we know the type of player we're going to be going for. So,
okay, and then the final one for the day, Kevin, do you expect us to compete in the Champions League, such as the semi-final, if we qualify?
No, not yet. Champions League. Look, we only made it to the Europa League semi-final last season, so Champions League semi-final right now or for next season, I can't see it. But hey, I would love to be proven wrong, of course, but one thing we do know is we want Arsenal in the Champions League this season. That would be real progress for the club.
There you go. And that was it for the questions. So really do appreciate it, Kevin, for coming on. Thank you, everyone, for watching. This is going to be the end of the video. It's going to be a short one today, but have yourselves a wonderful, wonderful day. I'll be back before the end of the week with more Arsenal content. And Kevin, do you have anything to say before we go? Final words?
Yeah, just hit the like button, everybody. Like this video, like the stream. And look after yourselves. Take good care and up the Arsenal. You know that.
There you go. Peace out, guys. Have yourselves a good